We all know Anthrax is one of the leading games when it comes to vocals. Besides the ubiquitous autotune, they actually have some really cool vocal effects. I was very surprised by their latest vocal EQ, which I featured in another video, and honestly I started using it more and more. It's a great plugin, but I didn't see this coming. They took the most popular vocal compressors, compressor techniques, added a bunch of really cool features, and brought them all together in one, I wanna say, almost foolproof, simple to use plugin, perfect for beginners, but not only. Anthrax Vocal Compressor. Let's take a look at it. When I saw what they had done with this compressor, my first thought was like, wait, why nobody else thought about this before? Because what they did with Vocal Compressor is, like I said in the intro, they brought together the 3 most popular and most used vocal compressors, plus one, and they packaged them in the very common serial configuration. You can see you have compressor 1 and then compressor 2. We have an input gain here on the left, we have an output gain here on the right, and also an auto gain. Of course, to auto compensate for the gain reduction, but I noticed that I personally like to leave this off and just compensate manually with the output. This plugin has 2 really cool tricks up its sleeve, but before looking into that, let's see what we have, the basic function. So for each stage of compression, we have 4 different compressors. The first one is FET, of course, inspired by the 76 style compression. We have 4:8:12 ratio, just like the original design, an input and an output attack and release, and we also have an additional warm button to increase the saturation and the color. The second compressor available is Opto A. Again, another vocal classic. You can see from the control, it's very recognizable. We only have peak reduction and gain. Inspired by the 2A style, we also have a warm button here. This time around, we have a knob for variable saturation. The third one is Opto B. Again, this one is another modern, more modern, classic Opto tube compressor. You can see the color changed to blue, so the original unit has a blue faceplate and more controls compared to the Opto A. In fact, we have fully variable threshold ratio, attack, release, and gain. Is their own modern compressor. Look at this as a workhorse compressor. A Swiss knife compressor is the more tweakable. Again, we have threshold ratio, knee in this case, gain, fully variable attack and release. This is a totally transparent compressor, no warm or color, but is a problem solver. And one of the tricks that I was mentioning at the beginning is in fact in this one. You can see at the bottom we have a sidechain, internal or external, and then a high pass filter and low pass filter. But then we have this auto-tune pitch filter. When you engage this one, you now have an automatic sidechain filter that tracks and follows the fundamental of the vocals. Very unique, and you will hear how the compression is more natural with this one engaged, which doesn't mean it's always what you want, but is an option that no other compressor has as far as I know, and it sounds really cool. So you have these 2 compressors available for each module, and you can do the very popular combination of FET and Opto. In this case, you have 2. You can do a 76 style with a 2A style, or a 1B style followed by a FET. Or you can throw in the modern compressor, like I said, for problem solving, either before or after one of the 3 color compressors. I want to show you the pitch filter, the auto-tune pitch filter. So I'm just going to compress this vocal with the modern compressor without the pitch filter engaged. So just to give you a reference, without.
The midnight sky is the road I'm taking, head high up in the clouds.
This is without the auto-tune pitch filter.
The midnight sky is the road I'm taking, head high up in the clouds.
And without touching anything, I'm gonna engage the auto-tune and you will see that the gain reduction applied now is less.
The midnight sky is the road I'm taking, head high up in the clouds. I was born to run, I don't belong to anyone. Oh no, don't need to be loved by you. Fire in my lungs can bite the devil on my tongue. Oh no, don't need to be loved by you.
Okay, you see the difference. Without the auto-tune pitch filter, we have the classic compression behavior. Everything triggers the compression, right? And sometimes it can be a little too much. With the autotune filter, it only reacts to the fundamental tracks and follows the fundamental of the vocals, which kind of reacts almost to what needs to be compressed based on how our ears and our brain perceive the vocal energy-wise, not just peak, nominal peak. And it's very interesting. But let's try a classic combination, FET first and opto second. In this case, I'm just gonna use the FET to try to catch the tall peaks, okay? And I actually like to use a 12 ratio for this and just tap the FET compressor because the knee gets a little bit steeper. And for me, it works better at a high ratio. If I was using the FET for a long-term compression, like keeping it in the curve, I would probably use the 4 ratio, but for this specific task, I like 12. And please note that the gain reduction metering has a really big scale. Like the first line here, it's already 10 dB of compression, so get used to the ballistic of this.
I was born to run, I don't belong to anyone. Oh no, don't need to be loved by you. Fire in my lungs can bite the devil on my tongue. Oh no, don't need to be loved by you. See my lips on her mouth, everybody's talking now, baby. Ooh, you know it's true that I was born to run, I don't belong to anyone. Oh no, I don't need to be loved by you.
I think it sounds pretty cool. And also, let me show you guys, just in case you're not paying attention to it. This is a pretty dynamic vocal. Look at this. Okay, it's well sang for sure, but still there's some serious swings in dynamics. We can swap it and do opto first, and in this case I'm gonna use the blue opto and put the FET here. Of course you can bypass each compressor individually, or you can set up simply one compressor if you don't want to use the serial technique. You're gonna use a male vocal for this. This is Ryan Shuck.
That's pain in me, it was awoken. I tried to lie, but this time I feel broken.
See, in this case, that's why I don't like the combination with an opto first and a FET after, because I always feel like the FET is working too much. I feel the FET working too much. So that's why I've always used, when I use the combination FET opto, I always use the FET first. Some people do the opposite. I don't understand how they do it. I never liked it. We can instead use the modern, and I'm gonna click that auto-tune pitch filter.
That's pain in me, it was awoken. I tried to lie, but this time I feel broken. I made a vow, can't break it now, but my true heart has spoken. I love you with one eye open.
I think it sounds great, man, and I gotta say, I really love the ergonomics of the GUI. Having both compressors, you see the gain reduction, how much does each one of them. You can swap them around. We have a mix knob as well. But there's one last function that I want to show you, and it's the assist. Right here at the bottom left, and this is why I said at the beginning, this is a great tool for beginners if you are in doubt. And with that, I don't want to say this is not a pro plugin, because it's ridiculous. I'm saying that it does have also this function that can give you a good starting point. Let's change vocals. Let's take a look at it. All right, really dynamic vocal, this purple track here. So we go back to default here. And on the assist panel here, we have input type, so you can select the type of vocals that we are going to analyze. We have soprano, alto, tenor, low male instrument, and bass instrument. So again, this is a vocal compressor, but just like the vocal EQ, it's a great tool for other sources as well. In this case, I'm gonna use soprano because that's Bella's voice. And then compression, we have minimal, control, and aggressive. I personally advise you to try minimal first because I noticed it tends to be a little heavy-handed, at least the suggestion. So I think if you start with minimal and then go for there, you will find better results. And then style. Basically, the compression that you pick, among other things, dictate how much compression, how many dB of compression is gonna do, or suggest you to do. Then we have the style. You can have clean vocals where all the warm and the saturators are off. Then we have warm and full with some color, and then greedy energy, which is exactly what it says on the tin. I'm just gonna go with warm and full. You select your clip and it needs to be 5 seconds and up, and we click learn.
Now the day bleeds into nightfall and you're not here.
Okay, let's stop here. After 5 seconds, it shows you this window, which is the suggestions for the types and the settings. So in this case, it does what I would do. Fat compressor first with an opto second. The first one with color, the second without the color. If you apply, you can of course change the settings later. So if you don't like it, you wanna redo the learning and change the parameters, you can click cancel. But if you do wanna try it, you click apply, and there we have it. We have the fat first and the opto second. Let's hear how it sounds.
Now the day bleeds into nightfall and you're not here to get me through it all.
Dude, it sounds good actually, without it.
Now the day bleeds.
All right, let me level match, okay? Let me level match. So let's turn it down a little.
Now the day bleeds into nightfall and you're not here to get me through it all. Now the day bleeds into nightfall and you're not here to get me through it all. Let my guard down. Now you.
I love it. I don't know. I don't know what to say. I'm actually pretty impressed. This is probably the best settings that I got. So again, it shows that you really need to understand the parameters, and then it actually can give you a really good starting point. I'm just gonna swap the warmth and the color because I really like the Opto A, just to hear.
Now the day bleeds into nightfall and you're not.
No, he was right. I actually prefer the fat.
Now the day bleeds into nightfall and you're not here to get me through it all. Let my guard down. Now you pull the rug. I was getting kinda used to being someone you loved.
Oh yeah, 100%. Listen to this passage here. This kind of medium to low passage, like the vocals just go really up and down a lot, and at that range when it goes down it's like too low. Just listen to the oscillation.
I was getting kinda used to being someone you.
All right, you kind of lose the last part a little bit, and then it just goes way higher.
I was getting kinda used to being someone you loved.
Right, which is not bad, but
I was getting kinda used to being someone you loved.
it keeps it all the time really up and where it needs to be. Well, I think this is a really useful tool. It kind of actually won me over, generally. I know I've said it twice already in this video, but I want to stress it that I really like the ergonomics and how it's laid out. And lately, for the past, I want to say a year, I understood how ergonomics play a big part in what results we get, how fast we get them, and why we make a decision and not the next. Having so much hardware, that's one thing that you really learn, but that applies to plugins as well. And if you haven't yet, I'm telling you this because I made a mistake of overlooking their effects, their vocal effects. Like for example, Warm, this little thing here, with the tube, it's pretty badass. But take a look at all the other effects that they have, because I found some really cool ones, and you can do really cool tricks. Anyway, this is it for this video. This was the new Anthrax vocal compressor. The link is gonna be in the info box down below. If you like this video, please don't forget to leave a like. And if you wanna see my mixing vocal classes and much more, click the join button, become a MixBus TV member. Thank you for watching, subscribe if you haven't already, stay safe, see you next time.